Welcome to the Localpreneur Show, a podcast dedicated to featuring community-based entrepreneurs, the principles they live by, and the success they're having making a difference in the world. Here's your host, Austin Kane.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Localpreneur Show. We've got a great guest joining us here today. Super excited for another episode and just to hear another company's journey and story and how they're making really an impact in their community. Today, we've got Jennifer with the Top Hatter out of Phoenix, Arizona. And so, again, super excited for them to be here. And Jennifer, I'll let you introduce yourself and your company and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Perfect. Yes. Hi, everybody. My name's Jenn, and my husband and I, we own the Top Hatter, a local air duct cleaning company that works with air duct, cleans air ducts, dryer vents, and fireplaces. It's a 35-year-old company, A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. And this company is really special to our hearts because, about 10, 11 years ago, my husband, we hadn't met yet, but he was in a bit of a low place, and the Top Hatter, found him, took him in, and he just became part of the family. That's part of the culture in this shop that I'm grateful has only evolved since we took it over. And so he ran the company for about 9 years and got the opportunity to buy it at the beginning of last year. And that's when I came in. And we're a family owned and operated business, and everybody that works with us is family too. We treat our customers like family. Every house we go into, we treat it like it's our own. And if there's any issues, if expectations aren't met, or if there's any issues that pop up, because things do happen, especially when working with mechanical things, it always gets addressed. Again, like it's family. If it happened at my grandma's house, I want it to get taken care of and want her to get taken care of. So we clean air ducts. The way in which we clean is a bit different than other air duct cleaning companies. Most companies use negative air or rotary brush method. And if you're curious about that, I can go into the details and give you a little education segment. But we use a different process, something that we've used since we started, and or as long as the company's been around doing air ducts. But we actually scrub in a hospital grade sanitizer throughout the entire duct system. So the clientele that tends to come to us naturally are people that suffer from allergies, health issues. We get referrals from the Mayo Clinic for organ transplant patients. And there's a number of other locations that we do work with, specifically because the way we clean, our tagline is, it's not just about the dust, it's about your health.
Yeah.
And the way that we clean really does focus on a health-centric type of living.
Yeah. No, that sounds like, just the services you guys are offering are, helping people in more ways than they could probably, imagine. And, I think that's what we're here to talk about today on the Localpreneur Show is really how, not that your services are impacting the community, even though they might be, but really how you guys are plugging yourselves in all of these different aspects of your community, how you're just making a difference ultimately in people's lives, how you're touching them and doing special projects for them, or maybe just giving back to your community in different ways, and changing the lives of the people that are around you and that you're serving and that are calling you guys for service. So, that's what the Localpreneur Show is all about. So, we can dive in. So, and we kind of started at ground zero a little bit already. You gave us a little bit of backstory, but is there anything else about y'all's journey or, anything about some kind of where you got today that you want to share before we kind of jump into some of the questions here?
Yeah, it's been a beautifully interesting journey. I worked for a large corporate company for 15 years, running different stores, going in, and when a store was kind of at rock bottom, let go of all of the leadership, that's when they're like, hey, Jen, it's your turn. So I'd come in, get the processes and strategies in place and then turn it around to where they were being successful again. And then Steve, he ran this company for 9-10 years before he got it. And over the last 2 years, the transition from, a leadership position, where you have somebody who owns the company to actually be the owners, it's kind of like amplified parenting.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these people are dependent on us doing well and us working
Absolutely.
together. So it requires us to hold ourselves at a higher level of accountability. So walking through that with my partner, it's been such a beautiful experience, beautiful and interesting experience, because it really requires us to hold ourselves accountable as well as requiring us to hold each other accountable.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly right. I mean, people think owning a business is an easy task, but I can imagine it's probably not. There's a lot of weight on your shoulders and a lot of different areas that you don't think about until you're in that seat. And so, the fact that you guys have been doing it here for a few years now, I mean, obviously kudos to you guys. You're doing something right. And you guys are you're providing a great service to the people in your area as well. So, I guess, Jen, let's talk a little bit about maybe some of the other things you guys are doing outside of your, normal services you provide. Let's talk a little bit about the impact that you guys are making in your local community. What are some of the organizations that you guys are tying yourself to, or some of the groups that you guys are partnering with? Just what are some of the ways that you guys are giving back and kind of giving that extra helping hand to somebody in need?
Yeah, so the main organization that we work with is an organization called A New Leaf. And this organization is just phenomenal, because what they do is they take in families that are suffering from domestic violence. Anywhere from people that are in difficult situations such as domestic violence to people that are looking to get clean and have nothing. And this organization is not just saying, okay, here's a place to live, but in order to stay at any of their facilities, they have to go through development courses. They have courses on everything from having a bank account, how to manage your money, how to interview, so many different things. And the unique thing about this organization is that they do have different properties that take entire families. So if you have an entire family, father, mother, and children, they do have facilities that support that as well, which is very rare, being able to take everybody in. And so one thing that we're working with them on is getting in and we get in regularly to offer our services, to volunteer our services. So in some of their facilities, if they need air ducts cleaning, if they need dryer vents cleaned, things like that. And it's something that is really speaks to both Steve and I, and how we can kind of give back, coming from, a place ourselves where, our childhoods weren't necessarily the best. And I think both of us could have benefited from a service and organization like that ourselves. So being able to help and offer that assistance is amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And doing these podcast episodes, I hear all kinds of stories. And I think, in the situations where, you guys are helping people that, maybe they're at a low point and where they're at, and, they just need, that extra, love, care, and attention to get them back on their feet, and, pouring into those people rather than just saying, now, discard onto the next. I think it takes a really big and special person to do that. And so, I think that's a cool organization you guys are tying yourself to. How did you guys come across this? Is it something that you just saw, or maybe, and if it's, a different story, or just what made you guys want to partner with them?
Actually, so I'm in a networking group that is BNI, Business Networking International. And so in that networking group, each chapter, there's multiple chapters, throughout Phoenix, and each chapter is allotted 2 spaces for nonprofit organizations. And so in that, I found that connection because I'm in BNI for the Top Hatter, and I took a tour of their facility, and she walked us around, explained to us the different services they offer, explained to us what it is that they do. And just in our chapter alone, like seeing the generosity that comes out of the other entrepreneurs that are there is just amazing. We have a plumber that a certain percentage of every service that is bought goes to a new leaf. So he writes a check every month to them. And so there's just so many ways to give back. And then we have we have the air conditioning company. They go out and they volunteer and prep meals and serve meals for the men's shelters. And it's amazing to see our group, our community in that little chapter, like come together and be of service together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just coming together, taking care of the community, everybody kind of taking a little slice of the pie there essentially. And, obviously plays a bigger role. You're able to touch a lot more people and take care of a lot more people doing it that way. Within the new leaf, you said it was, do you have any interactions with maybe the people or the families there, or is it just you guys are really kind of working more with the people running the organization to do the services there? And the reason why I ask is just kind of what's the general impact you see being made, being able to tie your business to them and help them out and do some things that maybe they wouldn't be able to get done elsewhere if it weren't for you guys.
Yeah, so we really work closely with the team there that organizes everything. So like the maintenance team and the people that are in charge of the facilities, facilities managers. From my understanding, they haven't had anybody offer their services. They've offered a discounted service, things like that. So their gratitude, now all that money that they had allotted to maintain their facilities is going to be able to go in a different direction, at least from that perspective. Or maybe they'll be able to, update some of their older facilities because they have multiple properties in Phoenix. And so as far as the direct impact to the people using those facilities, we don't necessarily see that. But it's one of those things, like, we know it doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah. And it's one of those things in the back of your mind, you're setting them up to have one less worry, in their day. They're in a clean, safe place, and whatever else they're going through can be their main focus. I completely understand. So I mean, it sounds like you guys you're making a big impact, and maybe a way that some people are recognizing that you are the one doing that, but deep down inside they know that someone's taking care of them, and that's really probably all that matters to them.
Really, it's not about like the credit or anything like that. It's just the fact that we're able to offer it and it's being received.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And that even kind of leads into, I was going to ask, and you kind of said that maybe you guys were offering these services, they can allocate money elsewhere, but maybe do you have any stories or maybe a time where you guys were offering service to maybe just a normal kind of everyday client that called you and maybe they didn't have the means to pay for it, or maybe it was a special project you guys wanted to do. Tell a story if you have one about maybe a time like that where you guys just went above and beyond. You knew the work needed to get done, and the goodness of your heart, you guys did it.
Yeah, so we do have a soft space in our heart when people are genuinely suffering from a health issue. And our services, they're not the most expensive, but they're also not the cheapest. And so in that, like, the way we operate in our business is we really focus on education. If somebody calls in and they're looking for an air duct cleaning, the first question that we ask is, well, what brings you to wanting to get your air ducts cleaned? We don't want to sell a service that isn't needed, right? And then we come across, more often than not, people that are having some health issues. And there have been a few times when there's somebody that has COPD or some type of immune deficiency, and they're they have done everything they possibly can, and they're still suffering from, issues as far as, lung issues or having trouble breathing or something like that. And the way we clean, the service that we offer, it helps dramatically in that, because we're taking out all sorts of stuff in the air ducts. But there have been multiple times where we're more than willing to discount the price, or even there's people that used to work at the Top Hatter years and years ago, that are near and dear to us, and that have come across their own illnesses and going to clean their air ducts at no charge. It's really like, if this is a service that genuinely will help improve somebody's health and they don't have the full financial means to take care of it, like, that's a part that we are willing to like work with and open up to, and like allow us to be of service in the best way that we can.
Absolutely. And I think, like I said, doing these episodes earlier, you hear all these stories, and just, you guys being able to take the business side out of that conversation and reason with that person. And, again, it's going to be one thing that they don't have to worry about. They can live more comfortably in their homes, and maybe they have 1,000 other things that they have to worry about, and their health being probably number one. They don't have to worry about the air quality in their home, and they can live comfortably. So I think it's really awesome to see companies over and over again all across the states that I've talked with that are doing these sorts of things, because it probably does make a huge lifelong impact to those people, compared to maybe the impact that it makes on you guys. So, and I don't want to sound like that discredits it. I'm just saying they probably think about it a lot more than you guys do.
Yeah, I came from, like I said, corporate for 15 years. And so it's really been this balance between Steve and I. Like, I'm very much especially being in corporate for 15 years, structure and process and procedure. And like, what led me to leaving that type of setting is that it didn't leave enough room for heart, and
yeah.
Steve always says, like, no, I depend on you to make sure I'm not letting my heart run this, and it runs the business to the ground. And I'm like, well, I need you to make sure that I'm not letting my structure run this, and it runs our culture to the ground. It's
Absolutely.
Being able to, like, we get that freedom to be able to make those decisions and make those choices. Now, obviously, we can't do that for everybody, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have a business, but being a small company, being a family-owned business, gives us that ability to make those decisions, and be able to offer help in a little more personal way, and that's not to discredit big corporations or big companies, because they give back in their own way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's a perfect combination of what you and your husband have, of, being able to reason with each other and be able to do these great things for your community while also maintaining and running a great business. So speaking of the business, and speaking of how you guys are obviously love to have a good culture and value everybody as family, like you said earlier in the episode, let's talk a little bit about your organization, and just what's the general impact that you see being made in your time as owning the business, of the people that work there. What are some of the things that you guys are offering them, and how are you pouring into your employees to be better people professionally, personally, maybe even setting them up for long-term success of having their own business one day? Talk a little bit about that and your people. And if you have a story about someone, feel free to share that too.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes my heart. This is what makes the Top Hatter so like special to me, because, and like I said, this culture was here before I got here. Steve worked here for quite a long time and did phenomenal, like really digging this culture in deep. But we really are about making sure that our team succeeds, whether that's with us or if it's setting them up to go on to start their own business. So 2 of our leads, Mike and Cisco, have been with us for 16 years. This was their first job. They have stayed committed to the top when it's been, great, when it's gone through struggles, not just the top, but to Steve also. And so right now, within the next 1 to 2 years, we're going to be opening up an insulation company, and Steve is going to bring Mike and Cisco in as part owners.
Very nice.
In a way, in an effort to be able to give back to them all that they've given to him. That just is a testament to the type of family this is. Same thing with me, you know, coming in here, and initially it was so I could help him with the business and then start my own business and being a coach, you know, a business or a life coach. And what ended up happening is I fell in love here, and I still have all my skills, you know, business coaching, life coaching, all of those. So it's kind of like they have an on-staff therapist. So whenever, I mean, we have people have life is messy. And so the fact that, you know, it's a small business, so we're not able necessarily to pay, you know, 6-figure salaries, and therapy can be expensive. But the fact that I'm able to sit down and offer support and be able to offer my skills and guidance to our team whenever they're having their own issues, and the fact that they trust me, trust us.
Absolutely.
In such a way that they're able to open up vulnerably. One thing that I've always very much admired about this is that we don't hold people's pasts against them. And we honor that not everybody was given the tools and resources to set them up to succeed as children, you know, and see them firsthand. And we've done a ton of work on ourselves individually and together as a couple, and the guys that are in the field, the ones that have been with us for a long time, you know, it really is like when we get our new guys in that are super young or, you know, something like that, it really is like the guys are out there teaching them how to be men, how to be adults. Like, no, this is what respect looks like. This is what integrity looks like. This is what being held accountable looks like. This is what holding yourself accountable looks like, and what happens when you don't. And they do that in a very, like, you know, whenever because we always have barbecues and get-togethers or whatever, you can see our 4 or 5 guys that have been with us for 10 plus years, you know, standing and like watching over their kids and like being proud of them doing such a good job when we have new leads taking over their own bands. And it's just, there's a lot of heart, and it's all about, it's not about making anybody wrong. It's not about making anybody feel small, or it's not about controlling anybody. It's about, no, we are only as successful as our weakest link, I guess you could say. I hate that term, but
yeah, no, it makes sense.
It doesn't mean that we get rid of them. It means we give them some more attention, and we can give them everything we can. Ultimately, like, eventually, if they choose to not utilize those skills, we tend to not have to fire them. They leave on their own because it's just not a fit. But it really is a beautiful culture of camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood for, you know, well, me and whenever we have women working here, but yeah, and then we have family get-togethers, and it's just, I don't know, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. And I was going to mention, you know, when you were talking about, you know, you're only as strong as maybe the weakest link. You know, I think culture does really run the business. It runs, you know, how people feel about the business. And even if your best rep, you know, I think his name was Mike. If Mike's been there for 16 years and he's the best salesman and the best tech, but he doesn't have, you know, the right attitude towards the culture, that could ruin everything you guys are trying to build. And so having the right people on the bus, and you know the phrase, you know, you teach people well enough to where they can leave, but you treat them well enough to where they'll stay. Sounds like kind of that's what you guys are doing. I mean, people are committed to not just the business and making a paycheck, but they're committed to you and the things that you guys are doing, because obviously they love being there. And it's not just a job to them. It's something that they want to show up every day and do. So that's why I love doing these podcasts, and I get to hear all these stories and hear how, businesses aren't just businesses, they're families, and you guys are, hanging out on the weekends and barbecuing and grilling out and getting together outside of the normal business hours. So, yeah, I appreciate everything you shared. And I mean, anything else off the, on your mind that maybe you had to share today before we kind of wrap up the episode?
I don't know. I mean, it really is the only piece, it's just a general piece of advice or knowledge, but it's something that I've really learned over the years, even in my corporate outlook. But so many times we get lost in making sure the structure is correct and the process is correct and but really, like, the secret key to being successful is the people and connection. And if you're able to build a connection with your team, with your customers, with all of that, and you're able to, add a little bit to their day, that just goes so far. So I know we as entrepreneurs get so lost in the numbers and the, emails and the everything, but that connection piece with everybody is really what it's all about.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right, and I think that's a great takeaway. If that's the only thing anybody listening takes away, is to take that away here from. So, Jenn, I appreciate again you sharing everything and hearing your story and hearing where you guys came from and working for the business and now owning the business and doing everything you can and more for the people in your community, for the people within your organization. I'm sure you guys are going to continue to explore new opportunities and build on what you're already doing. So, thanks for being a guest here on the Localpreneur Show, and look forward to maybe having you guys on again sometime in the future and hear some of the new things you guys are doing.
Yes.